All right, hello everyone, and welcome back to the Moonduck coverage of the Northern Arena Beat Invitational presented by Bell. These are the main qualifier playoffs here. Top two teams coming out of this bracket will move on to the LAN in Montreal in just a couple of weeks, so definitely some highly anticipated action coming up. This is going to be an elimination match between Duop and Fox, game number 2 now. Duop took a really convincing game 1, but we'll see if Fox is going to bring it home for games number 2 and 3. I'm Android, being joined once again by the lovely Capitalist. How's it going?
I'm good. I am looking at this next draft and going, damn, Juggernaut's such a good hero to have right now. It just feels right. Like the fact that you can draft it first pick like this, a core hero first pick straight up, like reliably. I think most teams can do this. Says a lot about the hero because the mid lane opening up for certain cores like Juggernaut is so valuable. I mean, it's just like as a mid laner, you can't really kill it. You can't really gank it. It still has good roaming potential, as we saw from Snake King. Like, he picked up his level 6 and moved up and down. Like, every single time he had Omni Slash, it would move to one of the side lanes and have an impact there. It's just such a strong hero, so it's not terribly surprising that Fox first pick it, but it does come at a very hefty cost. Oracle and Axe as a combination is very deadly.
Yeah, I mean, those guys, they can just jump at you. Oracle can keep Axe up and fighting for long past when he's due to drop. Is there anything that Fox can do to pick this up? Is there any really reliable way to keep the Oracle locked down or to withstand the onslaught of the Axe?
One of the big things is that one of the big advantages of Axe is that he's able to, in the draft sense, put pressure on the safe lane because it means you actually have to have really strong supports to be able to keep the Axe out of lane. And even then, who knows? Maybe they're going to run an aggro dual lane or something. Put Ogre down there with Axe or something like that. One support alone can't deal with that. And then the other combination is the other big factor is the fact that Axe, if they have dealt with him very well via the draft, and Axe feels like he can actually go down to that lane without just being mobbed on, he just goes jungle, and he's super effective at it. So I think one of the best things that Fox could do was pick themselves up a roamer, and that is exactly what they do. They don't go for the Earth Spirit in this game. Bounty Hunter is a lot more effective at disrupting junglers, so I think this is a great choice.
Yeah, I mean, Bounty Hunter, when I see him, I always get that, like, yeah, high risk, high reward. Like, it's so dangerous to pick up a Bounty, because if you start to fall behind, Bounty just realistically cannot play from inside the base. He just gets suffocated and drops off. But this shows the Fox, they're coming at this from a different angle. They've got a lot of different, ambitions. They're looking to be the one taking the team fights, looking to be the one having someone roaming out there rather than get roaming around it on by the Knicks or something. But I mean, Duop, they pick up a Spirit Breaker, and I love this. If you start a charge in the Bounty, you can still see him if he goes in Viz. There's so many global ways to have an effect now on the map. Duop, what else do they pick up here to complement this Bruiser strategy?
So if you're going to go for the roamer, right, and try and tackle the jungling part, what you then have to follow this up with is two really strong laning, like a really strong laning support and then a really strong laning core for that safe lane. Because with Duon picking up the Spirit Breaker, there is a very major threat of them running an aggro dual lane, like we mentioned. Not the Ogre Magi, but a Spirit Breaker is equally as strong, right? It's the same concept. It's a big tanky bruiser that you can't really reliably kill because, especially at level 1, his effective HP is so much greater than anybody else's. So I would have loved to see, and I love that Duwant ban it. The OD, for example, is a really good safe lane core because of the fact that he is ranged and he outputs a crap ton of damage and can cut straight through heroes with high armor like Axe and Spirit Breaker. So that one was banned away. I'm trying to think of another good safe laning ranged hero, preferably ranged, to be able to deal with this potential aggro duel because Fox cannot afford to lose the laning phase when they have this bounty hunter. As you mentioned, right? High risk, high reward. You have to win the laning phase to make sure that you transition well into that 10 to 15 minute marker where Bounty Hunter starts offering you track kills. You just have to be strong enough to take them.
What about something real yucky like a Viper?
Viper doesn't feel very good right now in the meta because he doesn't scale well enough. You usually only see Viper if you really need to stop aggression and you usually see him as a mid laner. So it's like there's like a mid laner that you want to try and put pressure on, and you've got a late game hero, but you have this awkward 20 to 30 minute marker where the enemy team's going to pressure you a lot. That's usually where a Viper fits in. It's because you have this late game hero to be able to fall back on. So I don't think Viper is quite the hero, but you are on the right kind of path, right? It's got to be some sort of strong laning type hero. Fox, they could actually do something different though. They could try and Juggernaut is not a bad safe laner for obvious reasons. Like he has that really good damaging spin. They could put Timbersaw mid, as well as Timbersaw is not bad at matching up against Axe either, because of the way that Whirling Death reacts. All you have to do is make sure that you don't lose your lane at level 1 or 2, and you play off of the reactive armor. Once you get that to at level 3, you get it up to level 2, and you start being able to really effectively keep your HP high. You can actually win out that lane. Much more heavily around level 5 and level 7. You can really start dominating that Axe. All you have to do is make sure, again, you don't lose the early game.
Yeah, I mean, I do like the combination of Jug and Crystal Maiden in lane if they do want to put the Timbersaw mid, but Fox probably still looking for that offlaner here. What do you think is going to be super effective for them? They have their team fight now. They've got, Juggernaut being able to Omni Slash out. They've got Timbersaw survivability. They've got CM, tons of damage potential with her ulti. Would you think something like a Tide would give them that control that they need, or is there just too much big tank on Doo-Wop?
I don't know. It's really hard to say exactly what Fox want to have, because I think there's a lot of pros to going some sort of aggro lane, right, and leaving the Timbersaw bottom potentially maxed up against the Axe. Maybe the Spirit Breaker's down there, but whatever, you can make it work. And then trying to put pressure on the Morphling at that top lane. Morphling's just kind of one of those heroes that somewhat similar to Huskar, just not quite the same timings. Huskar's obviously comes online a lot faster, but it's one of those heroes that you want to be able to either pressure in the lane really early on, or you have a game plan for the mid game. You have like some really hard counters to that hero specifically going mid to late game. So I'm not sure exactly what that is. Like maybe they run Juggernaut Crystal Maiden top lane, and then they put Timbersaw bottom, and they have a different mid laner, or they have a different hero to match up with the Crystal Maiden against that Morphling. They have a lot of options, to be honest. It looks like Doo-Wop think that there's potential for a Puck mid, and it's going to be like a Juggernaut Crystal Maiden aggro duel with the Bounty Hunter roaming around, or maybe even Timbersaw just regular old offlane. But I think that's most likely the scenario, and it would have been nice too, right? A really hard initiator, solid lockdown, and a silence, an AoE silence against Morphling, which is always valuable, given the fact that Morphling tends to go Linken's first.
All right, so things are getting down, getting dirty. Last picks here. Again, I want to emphasize this is an elimination match. If Fox lose this game, they are going to be out of the running to make it to the main event of the Northern Arena Beat Invitational. So it all comes down to this. Fox have to win this game to even have a chance to stay in it. They've got to win 2 games if they want to knock out Doo-Wop, which is an ambitious goal here. Doo-Wop are looking really strong today. Again, there was a little bit of a swap around in terms of rosters. Mason being replaced currently by Sovereign, who's just a phenomenal player here. So we'll see what's going to be moving forward here as Fox. They grab up the Razor last pick. I really, really like this hero.
I like it too. When you mentioned the Viper, I didn't want to go into it, but it's like if you want a Viper right now, it's better to pick up the Razor, just because Razor scales better than Viper. He just does better going mid to late game. He doesn't have quite the early game impact, but he's not as timing focused as the Viper is. So they don't know exactly what the mid laner is just yet. Which makes this lane still kind of open. They could run the Juggernaut mid and the Razor, maybe aggroed into the Morphling. Death Prophet, though. Death Prophet.
Got some push.
Yeah, this Death Prophet, laning-wise, matches up pretty well against the Razor. Because Razor latches onto you with the damage suck, but do you latch onto him with the Spirit Siphon? And then you still have a nuke to be able to fall back on, so it's not like you're entirely reliant on that right-click damage that's being taken away from you. And I think Juggernaut could do okay mid lane against Death Prophet. Okay, so the Razor then matched up against the Morphling, which is what I originally saw from this. It feels kind of weird though, running a side lane Razor. I'm presuming it is really effective against Morphling. Morphling's a ranged hero; he keeps his distance, which means the nuke of Razor is all the more effective, and you can kind of bully him out of lane, keep his CS down. I think this is pretty good. There's even some kill opportunity against the Death Prophet when you have the Bounty Hunter roaming in. Not at level 1, but maybe when Bounty Hunter gets level 2, when he's got that slow of Janata, it's actually possible for that slow plus the Orb of Venom slow to be good enough for Juggernaut to close the distance with Spin. It's kind of weird how this whole entire draft set up, because they still had so many options even when you saw that 5th hero, because it all depended on what Doo-Wop went for as last pick.
Man, this is going to be really, really intense. I mean, usually once a Razor's picked up, I'm like, oh, they got this in the bag, because Razor scales up so nicely. He's fantastic in lane just because of his static link, but I wonder how much he's going to be able to get out with that, because Morphling just gets static linked, wave forms away, and cuts that off. So NRS might have a bit tougher time going in for some farm here, but like you mentioned, the Plasma Field will definitely do a whole lot of damage to the Water Droplet. And this mid matchup, pretty curious here. It's going to be Snake King on the Death Prophet versus the Jug. I mean, is Jug just going to get his life drained down consistently, or what?
Yeah. So
Viddy, dude, he's all up in that Grant love.
Yeah, he really is. So the Spirit Siphon is no longer pure damage, so it doesn't go through that magic immunity, which makes it better for the Juggernaut than it used to be. I can't remember. There was some, because it's been so long since Death Prophet was picked up, that there were some like pros and cons. Despite when the first, I'm gonna look up exactly what the changes were, because there was actually some pros and cons. Despite the fact that going from pure to magic sounds like it's just straight up a nerf, there were some pros to it. It was actually sometimes more effective. Level 1. I think all right, just give me a minute here. I'm trying to find the change log, because it's not a hero that's really been in vogue for very long, right? Like this hero had a huge heyday when people realized that Spirit Siphon just dominates the mid lane matchup, and it's actually better than her ultimate, like 9 times out of 10. Like the exorcism is nice and it's good for pushing, and it's what the hero used to be based all around, but Spirit Siphon was so much stronger. It was this great team fight ability. It dominated the mid lane matchup all the time, and it just became this, like, what the hero was more about than anything else. So, but she kind of dropped off, and part of it, I think, is this nuke heavy team fight lineup. When you have these team fights are so important, and while Death Prophet is really good at it, when everyone's bringing so many nukes to the tables, it's pretty easy to just keep a Death Prophet down early. You know, you just try and focus her first. Don't let the Exorcism or the Spirit Siphon really do its damage over time.
All right, my big wild card here is going to be the Crystal Maiden. She's so fragile. We don't see her picked up a lot, but man, that Frostbite can be super, super deadly. Nice little tool. Can catch out a charging Space Cow, can keep Axe in place, can hold the Morphling back. And the Arcane Aura is going to be pretty nice as well. We usually see her kind of teaming up with the Juggernaut, but with Juggernaut spending so much time in the mid lane, do you think it's going to be, you know, a ganking CM, or is she going to be solely laning with this Razor? How's that going to work out?
I think you're going to be kind of moving back and forth. Part of the danger is you don't want to just be caught out by the Spirit Breaker in the jungle fully. So I think she's going to be focused on the bottom lane more than jungling. And then if you can kick the Spirit Breaker out and put pressure on the Axe, then you could start thinking about doing the greedier option and spending more time in the jungle. This choice does leave Timbersaw against a Morphling and Oracle, which honestly is a pretty easy matchup, I think. Just the first couple of levels, as long as you're not fully harassed out while you only have level 1 reactive armor, you should do really well.
Yeah, I mean, he's playing really far up right now.
Yeah. He can, right? He's just like, whatever. I've got reactive armor to be able to fall back on. The Bounty Hunter is kind of making sure the lane is okay as well, by harassing Fun back as much as possible.
Yep, so things are going all right here. Farm splitting up evenly. Now, I do really like Razor down in this bottom lane. He's able to get so much done with the static link against Axe. Now, the first blood comes out as Crystal Maiden shows off her Frostbite. Very, very nice play there. And, I mean, definitely a really value spell now. Crystal Maiden getting pinged to hell. They wanted to get some nice solo lane XP, but it looks like Fox. They really grouped themselves up after last game, and their laning phase is going much cleaner.
Yeah, it certainly is. The Axe, honestly, he may have to consider jungling at a certain point in time, because once they give it away that first blood and Razor starts getting like boots advantage over these heroes, this lane becomes near impossible, right? Because now every static link he'll always be able to keep up with you as long as he wants. He's just going to drain a ton of damage. You're going to be forced back during that whole entire duration. And the Spirit Breaker has to have an impact eventually on mid lane, because VD is, like, once he won Timbersaw his lane at top lane, like, once he got him through that level 1 point in time where it can be a little difficult, that's all he had to do. And now he's just going to be hardcore roaming on Snake King, most likely.
Yeah, again, Bounty, really high risk, but super high reward. If he gets an early track, if he participates in these fights, he can just absolutely start the spiral here. Now, Razor, he's got the shoes, Axe does not, so that boots advantage is going to be potentially deadly for Sovereign. Razor's already a pretty high move speed hero, and now with that extra bit of chase, I don't really think Axe has a whole lot of tools to deal with this.
Yeah, he certainly doesn't, but he doesn't really have the items just yet to go full on jungle. Maybe he'll go back and like he'll buy an Iron Talon or something. You know, sometimes it feels like that's more effective. Just straight up Iron Talon jungling if you feel like the lane is a little bit more difficult, and then you can choose to bounce back and forth, because it's not like Iron Talon is all that bad in stats. It has a Ring of Protection as part of its build-up, so you still have like some defensive capabilities because of that item. So sometimes in this meta it just feels better to do that, so you don't feed extra gold to the enemy carry.
Alright, now up top, again, Judge doing a really, really nice job keeping himself relevant, not getting overrun by the Morphling whatsoever, and even goes for a nice little pull through here, grabbing the wave more in his favor, so it's pretty difficult for Flea to deal with this right now. In fact, Judge moving forward, pretty aggressive there.
Not sure what exactly the Spirit Breaker can do at this point in time. Timbersaw is no longer a hero that they can zone out. In fact, you could see Solitary Judge is going at it against Flea. He knows that he can do this kind of fearlessly because Oracle is not a threat, and neither is Spirit Breaker.
Bounty Hunter's going to be coming in. They're going to go for the TP out. There is the Janata leveled up, but it's not going to be big enough to take out the Oracle. Morphling, however, that could be a neat little kill to go after. So Vidi might start things off with a bit of a stab timber chain forward. And there is going to be the waveform available, so they've got to just burst him down as quick as possible. Whirling Death is at the ready, but for now, Morphling will just slowly but surely regen some health.
I like this choice of going for the Whirling Death at level 5 there for that extra bit of burst damage. If they saw an opportunity, right, where he could get a good Timber Chain and hit Flea, they could just like pop him really quickly before more strength could actually come into play. Spirit Breaker is going to go back to bottom lane. It looks like they're going to go for a tri-lane here, but this is mega risky.
Yeah, Razor doing what he can, but the Frostbite stops Spirit Breaker in his tracks. The Battle Hunger is still on the Razor. Looks like he should be able to get away. Crystal Maiden, unfortunately, might not meet with a nice little fate there. Oracle actually helping him out, keeping him out of that call. Now Jason's going to be the one in trouble. No ulti for you, so Oracle hits the deck. There's another Plasma Field available. They've just got to get that catch up to the other two bruisers, but either way, Razor not feeling too shaken up after that 3-man gank. And up top, Morphling is picked off by this solo Timbersaw. Fox's laning phase is going just about perfect. Even the mid lane up against this Death Prophet is going pretty well for Brink.
Yeah, hindsight is 20/20, right? But I think once they knew they're matched up against a Razor CM bottom lane, I don't think you can contest that, to be honest. As long as the CM doesn't mess up, that lane should go fully the way of Fox, because Razor is so effective against these melee heroes. And I think they just had to straight up jungle with Axe and put the Spirit Breaker in that top lane, and actually try and, at level 1 and 2, keep the Timbersaw down for as long as possible. Once he gets level 3, then call it a day, rotate into mid lane as much as possible, and go from there. But if you can shut him down the best you can early...
Speaking of shut down, we are going to have a charge coming in up top as Morphling, very, very lucky to be alive there. I don't really know if they're actually able to lock down Solitary Judge. Again, decent mana pool, still has a Timber Chain or two to get away, but oh, there's 3 heroes moving in. He might just be a little bit too far forward. Yep, gonna get purged off there by the Oracle, but he's far back. He's near his own tower. Now everyone comes in to take out the Timber Saw. It's gonna be a 4-man gank. I guess worthwhile. It puts Duop on the board in terms of kills, and that's a pretty high priority target.
Yeah, that was definitely worthwhile. Because the Timber Saw is so important to shut down early. That was a great kill. It was just very risky by Duop to make that kind of move because they're dealing with this VD Bounty Hunter. The information he should be getting should have tipped off the Timber Saw that there was a rotation coming up, right? Like, they should know that Snake King's gone from mid lane, and the skill set of Death Prophet is decently effective versus Timber Saw. It's got magic damage from the Spirit Siphon, it's got a nuke, and it's got a silence. Those are all very value against the Timber Saw.
The Bounty Hunter staying just out of range of that tower. They want to get the jump on Snake King, but there's just not enough backup here. With way too up on the high ground, it's way too risky to be jumping on anyone, but for now it looks like all of Fox are content to extend the laning phase as long as possible. They've got some really good farm on the Razor. Razor feels really, really secure. If there's ever a gank attempt, all it takes is a quick TP rotation from the CM or the Bounty Hunter, and he should be considered safe. And now look how far forward this Timber Saw is playing. He just got ganked, but because everyone's revealed on the map, he feels so safe. He knows an Oracle and Morphling are not enough to take him down. Now Vidya is going to get drained down, but Snake King could be in some trouble as Crystal Maiden comes in. They get the freeze, and there is going to be the Omni Slash as well, so it's going to be a 2-for-1 exchange down bottom. And up top, it looks like Oracle could be in some trouble as well. There's going to be that heal coming in, Purifying Flames doing their work, but Chakram off the mark, Timber Chain. We'll see if it's going to be latching there. Jason, he's running for his life, but no one is here to bail him out. He's just slowly but surely healing up. One more Chakram will spell his demise. Now there's a Mango eaten up, so Judge can just continue to farm. Double damage axe, no Blink Dagger. There's a charge coming through on the Spirit Breaker, so how long does the Timber Saw stay extended forward? Well, he should be just about fine. Or
Maybe with Snake King. They do have Exorcism. They could commit it for the kill here.
I don't even know if they need it here. He's going to be silenced up. Now he's able to Timber Chain away, but the drain still continues on through. Meanwhile, the tower goes down just because of creep push. VD's here. Can they turn this around? It looks like Judge is trying. He mans up. He's going to be taking a bash in, and looks like he's just going to get called to pieces. Vidi, he's on the run right now, does have that Shadow Walk in 2 more seconds. In the Vision game, it's there. They've got the Observer and Sentry wards. Rather, that's the Bounty Hunter. They do have the Dust and the Spirit Breaker, but they don't commit it.
Yeah, it looks like Way2 maybe thought he was slightly outside of range, or maybe he judged it wasn't worth going for the dive in a tower or something like that. But either way, the second time, like the first time, forgiven. The second time, though, I think Solitary Judge should have kind of known. Like, Duop are willing to commit a large share of their resources to shut you down. Don't try and turn, especially since Death Prophet has that range drop. It was able to negate a lot of the initial magic damage that was laying down. The Shuriken was practically like half of the damage. In fact, 2/3 of the damage was completely countered by that range drop. So it's just like they had to see that was not a kill they could have been able to take, and it was just an unnecessary risk to go forward like that.
Mid lane here, Brink gonna be spinning away, and there is gonna be the call from the Axe dodged out. Arcane Rune picked up by the Juggernaut as well. Omni Slash in 12 seconds here, but on the back lines, Fleece not messing around. He kills off that little healing ward from the Jug. Now they're gonna be trying to go onto the Crystal Maiden. She's a nice easy target, but Sovereign gives his life as well, so currently a 1-for-1 trade. It's 3 versus 2, but Brink still feels comfortable manning up, goes in for the Omni, easily picks off the Oracle, and now Morphling's the one in trouble, goes for that waveform up onto the high ground, and unfortunately the Timber Chain will not connect. They're not able to cancel that TP, but either way, still a very favorable fight for Fox.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Fox are now seeing how much grouping up Duop is doing, and they're trying to counter it with some grouping up of their own. Because obviously they have the better team fight right now. It's just whether or not you want to actually commit the Razor to move out of his lane, and the same goes for the Juggernaut. But they absolutely should. Team fights are everything in this meta. Who cares if you get an extra like 10 creeps in lane? It's just not as effective in making as it is making sure you win a team fight. That's kind of where the meta is at right now. So Team Fox, they're now going to move the Juggernaut around a little bit. Every single time he has Omni Slash, he should be looking for a kill on that top or bottom lane. The Juggernaut, the Timber Saw, what he's going to be doing is just free farming the top lane, and if Duop commit the resources for heroes, which is probably what's needed to kill him, up to that top lane, then every single time Team Fox should react by hard pushing bottom.
Crystal Maiden, oh no, little girl. is going to be picked off so easily, turning things. The charge connects. They are going to be going on to Viddy here. Lots of resources committed for that little bounty hunter. Now Crystal Maiden comes out completely healed by the Purifying Flames. Do they have the catch here to go onto Sovereign? He's running away. Is there going to be enough heal there from the Oracle? Will he pop? He's still orange. He's going to get frozen up and slapped down. Meanwhile, Razor comes in, punishing the Oracle, so they lose the bounty, but they gain 2. Again, still a favorable trade for Fox.
Yeah, absolutely. They dove for a bounty hitter. That like really didn't make much sense. Really, they were just grouping themselves up for Timbersaw to hit a beautiful Timber Chain Whirling Death combination that hits both of them. And now he's actually got a full up Vanguard. So this is not your normal Timbersaw that goes straight up Bloodstone. He's gotten so much farm now, and mostly through kills, that he can afford a Vanguard and still pick up the Bloodstone later on, which means this Timbersaw will be a pure up tank. Like, nobody's going to be able to handle this guy, I don't think.
Razor TP's up top. Very ambitious move underneath an Exorcism and a Morphling, but I mean, he feels like he's able to take it. There's going to be another TP connecting from the Crystal Maiden, who's going to be popping in. Can just immediately turn, and their silence is just a little bit premature here. Snake King goes in for the sucky suck onto the CM, but I don't know if it's going to be enough. Waveform not available, so Morphling hops back to the Replicate. The tower goes down, but I guess nothing else is pushed forward. I don't know, kind of a sloppy engage there.
Yeah, not quite what they really wanted. Out of Doo-Wop anyway. I think they easily could have gotten like maybe that Crystal Maiden kill or something, but still they're putting pressure, they're forcing Fox to react, which is good, but the Timbersaw is still really troublesome. They're going to lose yet another tower. They can use the Timbersaw sort of in the way that the Chinese would use the Tidehunter. What would the Chinese would do is the Tidehunter would pick up his level 6, and because he was such a threat, they would use him, they would actively move him around the map, and wherever the Tide went, the rest of the team would go, and they would just bully down tier 1 towers, because everyone naturally moves away from the Tidehunter. When he shows up in lane, you don't go for that team fight, because he has Ravage. Like, everyone knows, like, you can't really beat that, especially in the early levels. You can't take that straight up fight. So it just allowed them to be able to take early tier 1s without contest, and this is what Fox is doing with the Timbersaw now. Like, he's such a big beast at this point that Doo-Wop are scared to contest him.
Yeah, I mean, right now, Doo-Wop are just sitting there trying to pick their initiation point, but there's 3 heroes munching away on this tower, and no one seems to be able to do anything about it. Snake King going to get tracked up once again. Frostbite is going to be there. Snake King blasted down. Kinetic Field clips onto Jason as well. He's going to be 2/3 health. There's nothing they can do about this. They have to sit there and watch their tower drop, as Death Prophet is such a huge portion of their early game damage. Now, up top, Morphling is getting a decent amount of farm, but barely halfway towards that Lincoln Sphere. Well, Fox, they've all got their first big items up and ready to go. I mean, are Doo-Wop just tapping out of this? What's happening right here? It seems like they're just playing so passively, and they're trying to fight in all the wrong places.
I mean, they kind of have to. Honestly, they shouldn't have even been in a position to get caught in middle lane. They should have just given up the tier 2 and said, you know, okay, we're just going to split push out the side lanes, because that's all they can do at this point in time. The Timbersaw is too big. Razor's too strong of a hero at this point in time in the game, and then everything else is just kind of still good from Team Fox. Like, Juggernaut at this point in time, yeah, he's a big threat. Crystal Maiden, pretty good at this point in time. Usually has a higher level of Crystal Nova, so she kind of has that big AoE nuke. And then on top of that, you have the Bounty Hunter, who's probably level 6, and you don't want to be giving away any free track kills.
Oh, speaking of track kills, though, we're going to have a big fight breaking out. There is going to be an Exorcism, but look at Timbersaw! Oh my god, he is unkillable there with that Vanguard. Just after taking a charge right to the face, just turns around, manning up, NRS draining a gazillion damage. Snake King forced into that defensive Yules, but on the back lines, this could be an early GG, as Doo-Wop just get rolled on here. Full team wipe. Fox lose nothing. They're going to gain a tier 2 tower as well. They can easily rotate into the Roche pit after this. Cap, what the hell?
I mean, I guess they kind of thought that maybe Timbersaw, like maybe finally after taking the mid lane, that Team Fox had actually broken apart and the Timbersaw would be alone, but obviously we knew that really wasn't the case, and they try and initiate, realize a bit too late that, oh god, he's not alone. Timbersaw actually has the whole entire team backing him up, and try and retreat, but obviously it's just going to be way too late. So, again, it's just kind of like the mindset of them using the Timbersaw in this way. It's very effective, because if the enemy team does stumble into you in a team fight way, they're always going to lose because Timbersaw is too big. And then if they just try and work around you, they try and split push lanes, you don't actually, like, gold wise, it's not that effective because the tier 1 and tier 2 tower bounties are going to be worth so much more than that momentary split push. The only thing that you actually win out on is experience. So it just turns out to be like a really effective way for you to be able to get a pretty good, like, 2 to 3k net worth lead at least from that move alone. Just 5 man into these 4 or 5 man into these outer towers, maybe take a tier 2 or 2, and then just kind of go from there. Play the game out with a 2 to 3k advantage and a serious map control issue for the enemy team.
All right, you mentioned the net worth difference here. Looking at the overall chart, it is getting kind of ugly here. We're only at 17 minutes at Fox, almost a 14,000 net worth advantage for them. Looking at the breakdown here, there is such a difference between the first 3 slots, which are all Radiant, and then the Morphling and the Death Prophet. Morphling, obviously, gonna keep scaling up, but is Death Prophet just kind of fizzled out now?
She really has. It's gonna take some supreme positioning by Snake to really get the Death Prophet back in this game, because with just a Yule Scepter, you have no survivability, especially against the Timbersaw, who's so farmed, and then you also have the Juggernaut with Omni Slash. The Yule Scepter only deals with so much, right? Like, if you dodge the Omni Slash, you come back down, you're probably going to have a Timbersaw combo waiting for you. So you're not going to get very effective exorcisms. Finally, Doo-Wop do kind of learn, okay, Team Fox are 5-manning. That's all they're doing right now, so they just give up that tier 2 without contest, and what they do is they split push mid as well as bottom as best they can, but it doesn't take that long for Team Fox to take that tier 2 with top lane, and then they instantly back up, and they take over the lanes again. From here, they're going to be able to, especially with this aggressive vision they've afforded themselves with these 5-man pushes, they can corral in Doo-Wop in this area. Keep all the lanes pushed in. Eventually, they're going to open up things like Roshan for themselves. They get the right pickup. Maybe they can even threaten high ground. It's all Team Fox's game right now. All they have to do is just execute this kind of enclosure and make sure that they outfarm Doo-Wop and then eventually go high ground.
All right, first Rosh attempt is coming out. This healing ward doing some good here. It's going to be, oh, the cute little kitty. But yeah, it's going to be quick and easy, and there's not a whole lot that Dire can do about this. They are smoked up. They're going to be sending Sovereign in. He's got his blink. He's got a neat little call, but the Rosh is melting fast, already sub half health. They've got to get their bodies in the pit now if they want to contest this. Sovereign, he's going in. He will get the blink. He connects onto 2. They're going to be trying to get him down immediately. Just destroyed there by Solitary Judge. He is going to be stuck on the cliff temporarily. And now there's going to be the Exorcism coming in. They at least get the Juggernaut down, so he's not going to be able to collect the Aegis for himself. Now Way2 going to get punished off there. Razor going in. They're looking to turn things onto Snake King. Can they get anyone down? Crystal Maiden falls in the meantime. NRS taking so much damage from the Ghost. They pick off the Razor. Now it's all up to the Timbersaw to put out huge amounts of damage. It's only the Timber left alive. The Ghosts, the Drain, they get him down. It's a team wipe going the other way. Doo-Wop, they pull it together. Nice jump into the pit, and they are able to collect the sweet remnants of the Roshan. Oh boy, what went wrong there for Fox?
First of all, Team Fox did not respect the combination of Oracle and Death Prophet. It's probably because they haven't played against it in a while. Again, Death Prophet hasn't really been in vogue for quite some time, so they probably kind of forgot just how powerful this combination is, because the idea being is that the Oracle prevents the Death Prophet from dying for these like 7 to 9 seconds, and that whole entire time you're not just getting exorcism damage, you're also getting off Spirit Siphon. And the big thing about Spirit Siphon is that it's this tremendous heal, especially as the game goes later. It's percentage based damage and it heals back percentage based. So when you start getting this and then count the fact that it's also doubling that heal because of the interaction with False Promise and how it doubles all healing that you receive, it means that they thought that Snake King was actually going to get pop. You saw the way the Razor kept going. He was like, whatever, I'm taking this exorcism and just putting more damage into the Death Prophet, thinking she was going to die, but quite the opposite. She was full health by the end of that False Promise, and it realizes too late, oh god.
Yeah, you can see that backstep, like, oh shit, he knows it's happening now. It's going to be a TP in trying to get down this Morphling. I mean, Timbersaw, It took a lot of resources to kill him. It happened when he was the lone survivor on his team. He was walked up high ground against 3 heroes. So he's obviously still stupid tanky, but the problem with him going down there is now he's only got 9 Bloodstone charges to his name. Charge comes in, way too getting dragged around in this fight. Eventually the Timbersaw gets bashed up. They go in, they want to finish off this Razor, and they might be able to do so here. He's going to be stuck in. The Death Prophet comes back on through, throws out the Crypt Swarm, and there is going to be that Battle Hunger raining in onto the Razor. Bounty Hunter throws out that Junata. TP out from the Razor, but it's just going to be Solitary Judge left to his own devices and destroyed here. Bloodstone now trickling down 6 charges. Bounty Hunter walks into the fight. Oh, Vidi, that's not where you want to be. There's going to be a dust, there's going to be vision, and he just gets slopped down there by the Oracle.
Looks like Way 2 was low enough that he kind of got baited into thinking, oh, if I can get close enough for a shuriken, it'll bounce to Way 2 and kill him. But he very rapidly had Earn Charge healing him up, and so by the time the shuriken actually does land, it makes his whole entire move look very, very foolish. But Fox, some concept of continuing to fight is correct, because you can still force the fight because Exorcism is down, but if they're going to do that, they should have just like brought all the heroes. Again, don't stop 5-manning. If you are actively looking for engagements like that, that's the primary reason why they lost it, is just Duop outnumbered them. And now they're actually in a terrible position. Timbersaw's had 6 Bloodstone charges, and only that Boots of Travel to be able to fall back on. The Juggernaut has good farm, and that is one of their saving graces, but they've given too much to the Morphling, I would say. The Morphling had such poor farm throughout this game just because the natural pressure he was feeling, dying twice, not really getting any kills in return for it. But now you can have almost a full-out shotgun. He's actually going to forgo the Lincolns, because there's really nothing that he's that scared of besides Omni Slash, and just go for the shotgun, it seems, because the Ethereal Blade deals with the Omni Slash just as well as Lincoln's does.
Yeah, I mean, it would be nice to be able to break that static link, but first priority is damage output right now, because Duop, they've realized they can take these fights, they can focus down Fox one by one, so just being able to have Morphling sitting there, right-clicking through it, it's going to make these fights a whole lot easier now. Look at this net worth plateau here. It looks like Fox, they started so strong, but then 2 really quirky fights in a row. It's trickled back down to a pretty minor lead at this point.
So at this point, we really have to start thinking in terms of mid to late game and how this game will draw out. Because before, you were looking at the game and you could say, like, okay, Fox are so far ahead that it doesn't matter what kind of interactions there are mid to late game, because Fox are 10k ahead. They're probably, if they continue to hold the game, will be like 20k ahead. And that kind of gold lead does outdo any kind of hero matchup advantages or disadvantages. But now the game's obviously brought back pretty even, and Duop had this opportunity. I don't think they want to go late, though. Even though Razor does drop off a bit, Juggernaut and Timbersaw will still be okay going late game. I think their strongest point is actually going to be around this Ethereal Blade timing and the Death Prophet, which
snaking.
Unfortunately they're not playing around right now. But
Snaking's going to be able to TP out, and there's really no stuns here. When they don't have the Crystal Maiden nearby, when they don't have the Bounty Hunter to bop out that Shuriken, TP out is absolutely a formidable solution. Now Shotgun showed off, there's going to be a charge onto the Razor. Crystal Maiden comes in, waveform out before there's going to be any sort of latch, and again, TP on through. Morphling gets out completely alive, so he's been given a lot of space. We mentioned him having a really tough early game, but the last couple of fights, he's stacked up a fair amount of kills, or at least kill participations, decent amount of net worth now. He's climbing up. He used to be 4th, and now he's just made his way up to 3rd, but big jump from where he used to be. Timbersaw is still at the top of the net worth chart, but how does he keep himself relevant?
He's naturally relevant against the Morphling because of this build of Manta Diffusal Blade. We've had a couple conversations about how it is effective versus the Morphling. Any mana burn is really, but also other things, right? The fact that you can, in this case, he doesn't have a Lincoln's, he only has the Ethereal Blade, so now you can diffuse off the Ethereal Blade if he uses it to try and protect himself against the Omni Slash. What they are most lacking, though, on Fox is not necessarily damage, it's initiation and lockdown. That is really going to be the big downfall of Fox, and why Duop I think they can actually win late game purely off of initiation.
Oh, Beatty, unfortunate little guy, is going to be caught out. The Omni Slash runs through way too, taking a ton of damage, will be brought down. That defusal onto Sovereign to slow him out. That's going to be a nice 2 little kills going the way of Fox. I mean, they've got their foothold in this game. It's not like they're just rolling over and taking it, but Doo-Wop, they definitely still have a power spike going for themselves. The Morphling, the Death Prophet still continuing to farm up fairly nicely. Is this going to be Fox's, go time? Do they have to just keep pushing forward, looking for picks now, or can they just sit back, wait for the next round of items, and then take big fights?
I guess it depends on what those items are and whether or not they actually mean a big power spike. For example, I think Solitary Judge, I'm not sure what this extra Vit booster is going for, but I think the plate mail should be going into Lotus Orb. Once he has that...
Crimson Guard for, maybe?
For the Timber Saw? I mean, I think that item, like, if you're going to pick up Vanguard, I think you should go for the Crimson Guard eventually. It's just kind of curious to me that he didn't finish out the Lotus Orb first, because he bought the plate mail, then had the Vit booster. Because I think the thing for me is that the Lotus Orb is very effective because it not only returns back Spirit Siphon, but it also removes the silence that it's on you from the Death Prophet. And that's their best, like, Doo-Wop's best way to play these team fights is to play kiting the Timbersaw. They don't actually try and focus him down because he chose such a tanky build. You just kind of ignore him and try and kite him as best as possible. And obviously the best way to do that is render him completely spellless with silence. So I think he needs to finish that out before they try and go for any sort of high ground pushes, because the high ground push is going to be difficult against this shotgun of the Morphling. He looks like he's now going to go back for the Lincoln Sphere. Maybe. I mean, he could just go straight out for the Scotty, I guess, and never go for the Lincolns.
He moved that ring of health over up into that stash, so, I mean, he could go either way. He's right-clicking pretty efficiently, and in terms of what's blocked by those single-target spells, there's the Omni Slash, there's going to be Crystal Maiden's Frostbite, Razor's Static Link, Bounty Hunter Shuriken, but those aren't the things that kill you in the fights.
Yeah, it's just like, Omni Slash is the only big ability that you actually want to actively block. Most of the other ones are just kind of like junk spells
big fight
in a bit.
Coming in here, the smoke. Will it be popped here? There's going to be some wards placed down pretty aggressively. They're looking for the jump, but Doo-Wop, they kind of sense something's going on. They're going to be backing up. They had a smoke going of their own. Now, Replicant of the Axe going to be pushing forward. Doesn't look like we're going to see a big full-on initiation, even though that was teased out by both teams.
I think it's good of Doo-Wop to just back up here. I think they aren't in any rush. Like, eventually, this Morphling is going to get to a place where he can solo kill and pick off the enemy. And Team Fox will then be forced into a 5-man and be pushed to go 5-man high ground. Just to prevent the Morphling from continuing to pick you off and maybe letting the game snowball against you. He does, in fact, go back for the Lincolns. So he can build Scotty from here if he wants to. I think the Lincolns is a good choice. I think it's such a value item on Morphling, even if there aren't like too many really big spells to dodge. Even just certain things like the mana that's given to you, it's why it's like the first item you pick up on Morphling most of the time is like the sustain that's offered to you by Lincolns and the safety of being able to go forward. Fox still have this really big initiation problem, and it doesn't get better, right? Because even if Juggernaut was to say pick up a Blink, right? What does that Blink really do for you? It allows you to jump forward and Omni Slash someone, but that isn't that effective, especially going high ground, because the Oracle is going to be sitting so far in the back that he will false promise. Even if you do get like only one person in the Omni Slash, that person should just get false promise by Oracle, and then you're deep inside the enemy base and haven't made it a 4 versus 5 yet. So initiation is the biggest issue for Fox, and I think this means they have to get the next Roshan and they have to go high ground, because I just don't see this getting better for them. Even though the Axe is under farmed, and if you look at it, it's essentially 3 farm cores from Team Fox compared to the 2 of Doo-Wop. I still think late game initiation means more than farm.
Well, they're going to be trying to hop into the pit now. Sovereign acting as that bouncer, making sure that no one gets into this club without a pass, and there is going to be the Aegis picked up on the Morphling. Now NRS, that little sidestep, does he go in, does he not? Waytooth blasted down, they get something for their troubles. They go in, they are going to use that defusal onto Snake King, slowing him down. Now Blade Mail coming out from the Razor, trying to return any sort of damage dealt to him, but Snake King Always sitting back. He's going to be healed up by the Oracle. Can he actually turn this around? He's just going to be running. There will be a call in as Sovereign tries to take some of the aggro off of Snake King, but will it be enough? The Omni bouncing every which way. Crystal Maiden, she's dancing. Snake King gets healed back up to full health. Should be allowed to get back to the base. Oracle buys back for this fight. And there is going to be more flank coming around from downtown. Lincoln's shown off, and Brink does eventually have to back off. Very curious engage. There were like 2 or 3 different targets throughout the fight. In the end, it was pretty good for Fox. They didn't stop the Aegis, but they forced a buyback on the Oracle and got 2 nice picks there on the Spirit Breaker and the Axe. Was that enough?
It wasn't quite enough to really allow Fox to go high ground with these.
He's doing it. He's going to be able to get the kill onto the Timber Saw. There's a gem on the deck. NRS goes forward, trying to do what he can. Does pick up that gem, but unfortunately may give it right back. They cannot afford to lose this Razor here, but they might not have much of a choice. He's going to get purged off and dealt down. Spirit Breaker picks that gem right back up. Quirky engaged there and really not giving enough credit to Duop's rotations.
No, part of the problem with that fight is that at the Roshan pit is that they didn't have the creep wave with them, so they couldn't immediately translate that from a couple of hero kills to a high ground push, right? They had to go back, and with death timers being what they were, oh god, Break might die as well.
Yeah, unfortunately, he's just trying to push up, trying to clear his lanes, but there's going to be a slap in. Nice little Mantha dodge right there, but Adaptive Strike goes in. Brink is just barely alive, pops up the healing ward, now snaking. He's going to be sitting back on that ulti. He should be healed up completely at the end of it. Track popped out just to keep some eyes up, but I don't think Fox can afford to fight here. Razor, one of their major damage dealers and teamfight controllers, is still down, and Timbersaw, I mean, he's fighting an uphill battle with 6 Bloodstone charges. He knows if he fights another really bad fight, that's going even further south.
With Exorcism about to fade and the Razor about to get back up, Duop should just immediately full-out retreat, play passive. They don't need to do anything else. A lot of pressure is on Fox right now to make something happen. I'm just not sure what that thing is. Like I said earlier, like they still need the Lotus Orb on Solitary Judge, I think. The Rod of Atos did, like, his choice to go for that item, having an additional slow, really did make the difference for them to be able to catch out the Death Prophet. But again, that one little fight didn't mean too much, as Team Fox weren't able to get an objective or really change the pace of this game. So he still needs that item. They still need additional disables. Honestly, like, Timbersaw has this laundry list of items he needs to go for. Like, he needs a Blink Dagger as well as a Scythe of Ice, I think, for them to be able to contest late game against Duop. And I just can't see them waiting around for those items. I think it's just going to take too long. So I think they just wait until Scotty's up on Brink and they go and wait for a pickoff. Snake King might be the perfect pickoff they need.
It's still an ambitious target, though. He's healing up really effectively now with the Oracle there as well. There's going to be a charge coming in onto the Razor, the Omni Slash coming out, but again, I don't know if that's going to be enough. Even a full Omni, will it be able to take down Snake King? Not enough by just a little bit. Diffusal charge popped out, but Brink, he's going to be hitting the deck. Snake King is still alive. Crystal Maiden and Jug, they fall. They're not able to get down this Death Prophet. This Oracle DP combo is just filthy good.
Yep, again, you could see the Razor, like, he backed out immediately. They're going to try and get a quick pick off on Francis, and they will be able to take away that Aegis. Not sure if they're going to be able to do it 2 times in a row, though.
He's tracked up there. It's going to be a neat little chunk of pennies. They're missing some vital lockdown, and they just don't have the damage. So nice little TP out there by Morphling. Meanwhile, some serious tier 2 pressure taught by the rest of the team. And Fox can't react to this. They know they can't. They don't have the Juggernaut. They don't have the Razor ready to fight. Razor's item build is a little bit quirky here. It was forced into the Blade Mail, but now with a choice to pick up the Maelstrom. I mean, that's kind of a farming item. Is that really what he needs?
Maelstrom into Mjolnir, it gives you the static charge active. I guess that's pretty good. I think that reacts to, maybe it reacts to every instance of Exorcism Ghosts hitting you. I'm not sure what else it really does for you. I mean, good attack speed, that's always nice when you have static link to give you damage, but it is kind of a curious build. Like, I've seen so many builds on Razor over the years that he's been competitively viable. I can't think of too many times I've seen this build. Looks like he's just going to try and make himself like some sort of point of focus with the Blade Mail and Mjolnir. And just, try and force people to go onto him and reflect a lot of damage back, especially on the Morphling, who's going to get a kill on the Bounty Hunter.
That looked like it hurt on the inside. Now, again, just switched back to the replicate, TP back to the top lane, and continue it all over again. It now seems really difficult to lock down the Morphling. You mentioned that being their problem. Even early in the laning phase, Fox just don't have a whole lot of, reliable grab. You can't really hold them down and punch them. So this Morphling's just kind of walking all over Fox in terms of his mobility.
It's one of the big downsides of having a Bounty Hunter pickup. Because he's so focused on the early game, and the gold that he gets from that early game usually is going to go towards sustain. You don't get any lockdown out of him. So one of your supports has zero lockdown, like zero real stuns to be able to rely on. That automatically puts you at a big late game disadvantage. You add on to the fact that Bounty Hunter doesn't also give you a whole lot of damage or heavy nuking power either. And it just means that Bounty Hunter is super ineffective late game. So again, it comes back down to the cores of Team Fox. And while they all look pretty good in net worth, if you compare it to the Axe, right, who's the third core of Doo-Wop, it doesn't really matter because Sovereign, he doesn't need all that much. With just this amount of farm, with below 10k, he can be incredibly effective late game. It just all comes down to his blink initiations. If he gets the right kind of Berserker's Call to lock people down and gets Blade Mail damage returned, then he can easily turn the tide of a fight or end the game.
Morphling playing dirty here, picks off the poor little CM. And Radiant, I mean, they just can't fight this. They can't hold him down. They can't prevent Morphling from jumping into a replicate and TPing out. And we talked about it earlier in the drafting phase that Bounty Hunter does not play well from inside the base. He doesn't play well from behind. He likes to be able to move about the map, but there's just too much vision now. There's Spirit Breaker holding onto a gem. He can jump on his own now with a finished Silver Edge. It feels like Fox, they started the laning phase so strong, but they just let go. And looking at the net worth chart, it is now, for the first time since the game started, dipping in favor of Doo-Wop.
Yeah, I mean, just another example of Team Fox's game plan is look at Timbersaw's items. You have this hodgepodge of items like the Vanguard and the Rod of Atos. These are mid-game items for sure. You don't go late game when you get 6 slot and you start getting 10k gold in your bank and you can have whatever items you want. You don't have these items in your inventory. So what he invested into was being able to win the 20-minute mark, right, and be able to close out the game with a big net worth lead thanks to the Bounty Hunter trap. But obviously they messed up around the Roshan pit, and they messed up a couple times after that, and all of a sudden the game turns on its head. Doo-Wop are now in the advantage, and even heroes like Timbersaw, who's top of the net worth of his team, that net worth isn't effective. You take 5k gold of this, and it's just kind of meh items. They don't really do a whole lot for you late game. Where you compare it to Morphling, right, very effective items. You can do a whole lot with this item set no matter what time the game it is, because supports are always going to have low enough HP for you to one-shot them.
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately at this point, Crystal Maiden has creep tier HP. She's got herself 12 little armor, but she's just one shotgun from Morphling and completely dead, and she has a decent portion of her team's damage. If she actually gets off a nice freezing field, it can do a lot, but Doo-Wop, they're playing this very, very well in terms of positioning. They're kind of keeping their heroes on one side of the map, Morphling's farming up on another side of the map, with that replicate always ready to go. It's difficult. If you're Fox, what's your game plan? Do you turtle in your base and wait for a high ground push? Do you try to smoke up and leave? Is Roshan a big objective to you, or can you not even afford that?
You didn't want to be in this position, but I think you just have to try and go late. Get a Scythe of Ice on Timbersaw, get a Abyssal Blade on Juggernaut, and then you have 2 sources of lockdown, and maybe the game changes from there. But in the meantime, you're just kind of sitting high ground and hoping that Morphling repeatedly throws shotgun charges at the Blade Mail Razor, which is highly unlikely, right? He's going to always take the free kill on Crystal Maiden or Bounty Hunter, 9 times out of 10.
Alright, so Doo-Wop, I mean, they've got all the room in the world to go for this. Morphling Replicate, it's in the pit, it sees the Roshan spawn, so they can just hop back and reinitiate whenever they feel like it. There is going to be a line in the sand drawn by a Fox. They want to be able to smoke up and go for the Roche pick. If they want to go, they better get in there now, because this thing is melting. This is third Roche, so Roshan and Cheese most likely falling in the hands of Doo-Wop.
You're just kind of playing the sitting duck and waiting and hoping the hunter misses his shot. Like, that's what Doo-Wop, they're gonna go high ground, and the only way they lose this game is they make a mistake going high ground. Because they have really effective ways of pushing high ground without too much commitment, too. Morphling is a great hero for sieging base without committing too much. So they can easily chip down all these tier 3 towers without commitment, and then when they want to fully commit to a push, they've got a great high ground pusher in the Death Prophet, who now has Octarine Core, Lotus Orb, Shivas, as well as a Cheese to fall back on. So you talk about, like, again, the efficiency of being able to use False Promise. How can someone eat through a 2k heal that has been doubled by False Promise? It's not going to happen. There's no way they put enough damage out there.
It's going to be that Lotus Orb on Snake King. I don't think you can kill this Death Prophet anymore, so it's a game of Fox sitting back, trying not to step in the ghosts. A Sovereign, he's ready to pink forward, go in for that call, but everything's just really not going in favor of Doo-Wop, while the rest of Fox, or rather in favor of Fox. The rest of them are sitting up on their high ground. Morphling, again, still clearing out this top lane, having no trouble at all getting some pressure in onto the tier 3. So Doo-Wop, they did what they wanted to. They cleared out the wave. They kept Fox on their toes. They forced them back. They allowed for Morphling to get that split push. Now Morphling, with that completed Eye of Scotty, is going to be a formidable fighter. Golly, I can't talk. Need more coffee.
That's okay. You're going to have a break here soon enough, Annie. I'm pretty sure Doo-Wop are going to be able to close out this game. Just, like, Razor had to go top lane to defend against the Morphling split push, but there's no threat there, right? Morphling just hits the tier 3 tower a couple of times and then decides, I guess I'll back up. You know, it's not like Razor really puts any fear into the Morphling. He just kind of tries to stop the push. He stops the creeps, that's for sure, but he doesn't really do much else. And this can just repeat, like, almost near infinity. And Fox, I don't think they have any items coming in that are going to change the pace of this game. At least not for, like, the next 10 minutes. If they win a big team fight, though, maybe they can finally get some items to change the game, but I don't know how they win that team fight in the first place, you know? Even if they smoke out, they get the right kind of wraparound initiation. Again, they just have a problem with lockdown. They'd have to get some sort of fight where they kill the Oracle first and then have the opportunity to focus down the Death Prophet. And Morphling, who's going to one-shot somebody, isn't allowed to be effective past that. Kind of chases for heroes but can't quite kill them. Their 3 cores are very tanky and very effective at being able to deal with Morphling, but it's still a problem that one of the supports is gone instantly.
Alright, so now there's going to be the force up. Snake King wants to get something done, taking a lot of damage, does have the Lotus Orb to return some of the damage. Oh, Bounty Hunter gets shredded. There's going to be defensive heals up on the Death Prophet. They are able to get off the Axe kill. He's going to be coming back, though. 2 more seconds. Meanwhile, they are able to clean up the Spirit Breaker as well, so bodies hitting the floor, and there's going to be a nice little charge coming in. Snake King could be in some trouble, eats up the cheese, and they're looking to turn things aggressively onto Judge now. Razor pops in with that Blade Mail, but he's going to have to back off. They're going to have to let these racks fall. Exorcism going to be almost done, but they should be able to secure the full lane here. And now, oh, Judge comes back in. They're looking to turn things onto Snake King once again. Diffusal charge. Atos keeping him back, but now he's just going to sit there, keep on living, gets healed up from the Exorcism, healed up by the cheese, healed up by the Oracle. So in the end, Doo-Wop, they get exactly what they want. Morphling also gets a decent amount of split push top, finishes off the tier 3 and the racks as well. So even though there are a few casualties, it seems like Fox are slowly fading out here.
I think Fox has the wrong idea for defending this. And honestly, you're like in a losing place kind of no matter what. But I think they need to abandon using one hero. I mean, it is kind of too late because both lanes are pushed in, but they should have abandoned the idea of using one hero to keep the Morphling from pushing, because that's just not going to happen. And they're not in a place where they can win that 4v4 bottom convincingly. What they needed to do was be able to bring all 5 heroes down to that bottom lane fight, hope that they win that fight, that they kill all 4 of those heroes. They're going to lose the lane of racks because of it. But honestly, there are certain sacrifices you have to make in order to give yourself a win condition. And if you kill 4 heroes at bottom, you get this big net worth influx And that can get you those kind of upgraded items that we talked about, the necessary lockdown that's needed to be able to threaten a Morphling. Like you can get those items in, or maybe you can even just push out and threaten Dewop and maybe force a buyback or something. Like you have to give yourself that kind of opening, and it's going to come at a cost. It's going to mean you have to sacrifice maybe a lane of Rax. Like the next thing is like, okay, now 2 lanes of Rax are down. There's really nothing left to sacrifice except for mid lane of Rax, and Megas is unlikely to be able to come back from. I think Fox just, it was like a 1% chance they would make that comeback, but you had to try for it.
All right, now there's going to be another Exorcism Snake King freely allowed to go and push in this top lane of Rax. The rest of the heroes are going to be jumping on a Fox. Not going to let this Rax go down without a fight, but gosh, can they actually kill the Death Prophet? That's going to be a huge thing. She's going to be BKB. She's going to get healed up now. Jason does hit the deck. Sovereign gets a really nice call, but oh gosh, there's going to be the Omni Slash axe. Will he drop from the Snake King as well? Still taking a ton of damage, being healed up by the Octarine Core. Oh no, they can't even kill the axe. There they go, but it takes everything to bring Scott, and he will be picked off. He has buyback, but they know it's just completely over after this. The GG is called. Dewop, they're able to take a 2-0 series here, securing their place, continuing on in this tournament. Unfortunately, this does mean that Team Fox will be going home, not moving forward in the bracket, and they will not make it to the Northern Arena LAN.
Yeah, I think Team Fox definitely showed some promise here, and I look forward to seeing them more as the season continues. And obviously, there's a lot more tournaments for them to be able to participate in. I think just inexperience kind of got the best of them. They said nerves for the first day. It felt like they lost that Roshan fight. A large part of it was so bad because of the fact like Razor committing to a Death Prophet that, as we know, obviously Aftermath was very clearly not going to die. In fact, got healed up to full. Like those sort of things, it cost them the game. That one Roshan fight, it just changed everything. When they kind of had the game locked down, to be honest, it should have been a pretty clear win. But they tried to go for Roshan, get caught inside the pit. They commit to a Death Prophet. It goes horribly wrong. And the game turns against them. But these things happen. They'll learn from this. That's the biggest thing. And they will move on. Dewop, meanwhile, I think the big thing to take from this is that they do not look like a worse team without Mason. Obviously, Sovereign really carried his own, especially in that first game with the Nyx Assassin.
All right, so this is going to conclude this series. It was a best of 3. Like we mentioned, Dewop moving forward, Team Fox going home. Up next, we're going to have a best of 3 lower bracket series between Pain Gaming and Not Today. Here's some of the best teams in South America going head to head. You do not want to miss this one. Again, I'm Android from Moonduck, being joined once again by Cap. Sit back and enjoy the break. We'll be back with some more Dota in just a couple of minutes.